Painful, genuinely painful. Losing a cup final is never nice, but losing a cup final in this circumstance really does cut deep because Chelsea should have won the game today. Liverpool were magnificent. Liverpool turned up. Liverpool demanded the very best from everybody associated with their team, and they got the result that they so desperately needed. I think this result on Merseyside is going to be spoken about for years to come. In fact, a lot of these players will go into Liverpool folklore. The day that a load of kids turned up representing Liverpool and blew Chelsea's billionaire squad out of the water. Jurgen Klopp, again, battering Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino, yet again, failing. How long will it take Mauricio Pochettino to win silverware in this country? 388 games he has managed in this league, and yet he has literally nothing to show for it. And we have appointed that manager. Chelsea have decided that a manager who has won nothing in the domestic game in 388 games, Chelsea have decided that he is the man for us. Chelsea have decided that he is the man that we desperately need to be our manager. We've appointed a manager who is clearly a valiant loser. We've appointed a manager who doesn't really want to be Chelsea manager. We've appointed a manager who is so in keeping with Tottenham traditions that Chelsea have become Tottenham. That is a Tottenham performance that you have seen today. We've appointed a Tottenham manager and we have become Tottenham. You can hear that we are Tottenham. You can listen to the way people talk about Chelsea. We're valiant losers. We turn up. Occasionally we can be quite good. We've got some good players. Everything that you used to say about Tottenham. What Chelsea are, at least were, is winners. Chelsea would win. Chelsea would rewrite the history books. Chelsea would make history. Chelsea would demand the very best from the top down. Ultimately, we are not that club anymore. And this ownership that have come in 2 years have totally redefined who Chelsea are. They've totally changed everything that Chelsea were about. And we saw that in this cup final. Chelsea of old would have won that cup final. We did. We beat Liverpool in a cup final in 2005, didn't we? Now, to be totally frank, I never really saw a world where we could win. Mauricio Pochettino does not beat Jurgen Klopp at anything. Mauricio Pochettino is incomparable to Jurgen Klopp. Mauricio Pochettino has gone head-to-head with Jurgen Klopp on 14 occasions and has won once. And we have decided that he's our manager. We've decided that we desperately need this man at Chelsea. And then you think about the ownership. You think about the way that this ownership have approached their business. You think about the way that this ownership have done their best to redefine Chelsea, to change who we are. We had the very best. You had an institution that was built to win. You had Petr Cech doing his thing at the club. You have Marina Granovskaya doing her thing at the club, who had overseen nothing but success, who had very recently won a European Cup, very recently been christened the best team in the world. Both got a sack. That's what they decided was the best thing for Chelsea moving forward. Sack those two. They don't know what they're doing. We know what we're doing. Todd Boehly makes himself sporting director of Chelsea. A man who's never worked in European sport before made himself sporting director of the club. That's what we're dealing with here. And now there is a stat that I think demonstrates exactly the path that Chelsea are on. Boehly, Clearlake, Eghbali have been in charge of Chelsea for 2 years. Chelsea have won nothing for those 2 years. I don't believe that we can win the FA Cup. People are talking about us potentially doing something, but ultimately we're going to play a team like Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool or Arsenal, and we will be beat. That's if we manage to overcome Leeds. And I would say that Leeds United are totally capable of beating us as well. But we've had this ownership for 2 years. Chelsea are about to break a record that hasn't been seen at Chelsea since 2003-04, where we've gone 2 consecutive years without silverware. Everything that has happened to Chelsea since 2005, regardless of how bad it's got, we didn't win anything in 2008, but we bounced back 2009, won the cup. Whenever Chelsea haven't won silverware for 1 year, we always answer it the following season. We have never gone 2 years consecutively without winning silverware. Suddenly, Clearlake come in, and I believe that we will now go 2 years without winning any silverware. You look at the way that we have approached our business. You look at the fact that we have spent £1 billion and we're relying on Nicholas Jackson scoring our goals. You look at the fact that we have spent, £250 million on 2 midfielders? And you look at how Liverpool have done their business today. We are so far adrift. We are a shadow of the club that we once were. And losing cup finals is now going to be perceived as success. We got to the cup final. It's what we did. We did very well to get there. You know, Liverpool are a great team. Jurgen Klopp is a brilliant manager. What do you expect? That isn't Chelsea. That isn't who we are. We are supposed to be so much better than that. And I think Pochettino needs to hold his hands up here because he got it wrong today. When you see Virgil van Dijk scoring winners, surely that is being worked on the training ground. Surely people are thinking that Virgil van Dijk is a huge threat from set pieces. And we approach the game with full awareness of that threat. Virgil van Dijk having what some would suggest was a perfectly good goal disallowed. And then scoring from a very similar situation. Surely that is an example of poor management. Surely there are many examples of poor management, negative substitutions. Bring on Mykhailo Mudryk, a player that has been proved time and time again to not be good enough to play in this league. Not only does that reflect badly on Mauricio Pochettino, but it reflects terribly on the ownership. How can they have gone out of their way to sign a player like Mudryk, who is so poor, so out of his depth, and so clearly not a Premier League player? And he's not on his own. There are so many players that Chelsea have signed under this new ownership that are so inadequate, so incapable of playing at the very top. And it's now getting to the stage where we need to celebrate cup finals. We need to celebrate being in a cup final, as if that's somehow success. Anyone that knows a Tottenham fan will constantly tell you about the fact that they got to a Champions League final. Nobody cares. No Chelsea fan ever mentions Moscow because there is no glory in getting to a final. There is only glory in winning a final. And somehow now people are telling me, you got to the final, you should be happy about that. Being at Wembley, is that going to have a positive impact on some of these players? Maybe, maybe not. But there is nothing good about today. And if you look at what has happened today, Chelsea have given Liverpool one of the best days in Jurgen Klopp's managerial career. I think what Jurgen Klopp has done today and what Mauricio Pochettino has allowed them to do, it shouldn't have happened. There is no way that Liverpool team, it's not about the Liverpool team at full strength. It's not about a Liverpool team containing Darwin Núñez and Mo Salah. Of course, that team is dazzling and can beat anyone. But this is a Liverpool team with a load of kids on the bench who were there to be beaten. And it's now got to the stage where we are basically also rans. We are basically a side that compete without actually threatening. And maybe I need to redefine who Chelsea are. But what I think actually needs to happen is that Chelsea need to redefine who they are. I think the ownership need to have a cold, hard look in the mirror because they have basically got every single decision wrong since they took over the club. They have also disgracefully eroded the DNA of the club. There has never been a greater disparity between the fans, the ownership, and the manager, and the players, in fact. We are a team in disarray. We are a team lacking any sort of personality with the odd exception. And something desperately needs to change. I think we need to see a new manager installed immediately. Mauricio Pochettino is not the right man for the job. He has proven time and time again that he is not the right man for the job. He is clearly not a winner. He is clearly not capable of taking Chelsea back where we once belonged. This is a horrific day for us. This really is a horrific day because ultimately, despite the fact that it's Liverpool, despite the fact that it's Klopp, this is an upset. We have lost to a team that we were capable of beating. Our finishing was woeful. Our tactics were woeful. The way that we set up was woeful. And I just don't know where we go from here. I feel like we really are at a loss at the moment. Our season is over. The date is what? 26th of February. We have nothing to compete for. We won't go down. We won't win the league. We won't qualify for Europe. And we won't win the FA Cup. Feels like it's 1994 all over again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But a disgraceful day and a heartbreaking day. I'm not sure I've been as disgruntled and disheartened as this for absolutely ages. Cheers.